So my name is Sheu, and I'm a lifelong martial artist. When I first started training when I was a kid, I did Chinese Kung Fu or Wushu, I did Muay Thai, I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I still train today, I taught it, I competed in it, I live it. And today I'm here to talk to you about how martial arts taught me to fail so that I could succeed. The first time I met JD, we started talking about martial arts. That's kind of how we bonded. And so when he asked me to talk at one of these awesome CTM events, my response naturally was absolutely not. The reason I didn't want to talk about martial arts was because I was afraid. I was afraid of being a stereotype. But after I did a lot of soul searching, I realized it wasn't just being afraid of being a stereotype. What I really was afraid of was a failure. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to come out here today and talk about something and show any vulnerability or a lack of success based on the choices that I've made. I didn't want to mess up in all the ways that I think we as Asian Americans often internalize what failure is, yet we hardly ever discuss it. And because as Asian Americans, I feel like we have a really different struggle with failure and success. Our failures never seem to be our own. They get magnified by our parents, society, and even our own expectations of what we think we should be. For me, I worry that if I fail, my family fails, that my parents failed, and that their sacrifices have all been wasted because I chose to do something that I loved. And it's weird because sometimes I think we're so prepared for success that we don't prepare ourselves for failure or the trauma that it can cause. And when we're unprepared to fail, it's hard to figure out how to succeed or even recognize the successes we've already made. Now you see, I fail in martial arts all the time. And martial arts first helped me overcome my first failure, and that was physically, my physical limitations. And then it created a ripple effect later to overcome my mental limitations about myself, my goals, and even my identity as an Asian American. I remember the first Kung Fu class that I attended. They had this awesome demonstration where I saw the instructors throw a spin kick, and they broke this board, and I thought, oh my God, that's so cool. I can't do that. And you know what? I was absolutely right. The first time I tried showing off this cool spin kick that I thought I had learned in class, keyword thought that I learned, I slipped on my Jinko jeans, and I fell, and I broke my elbow. I failed. And I went back to class with a cast on my arm, and I was ashamed of my failure. I didn't want to admit that because of my poor fashion choices and my hubris, or in this case, my tiger shubris, my failure made me want to quit Kung Fu, something that I loved. But my teachers and my training didn't let me. In fact, they encouraged me to keep going and, more importantly, fail as many times as I needed until I got it right. They even taught me to be proud and embrace my Chinese culture that was usually portrayed as almost a shameful stereotype in the media. It made me explore and embrace these perspectives, emotions, and even how to express them later on when I realized I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a host so that in my little way, I could hopefully help change the portrayal of Asians in the media, despite any internal or external worries of failure that I might have had. Now, this change, it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't like an 80s montage, but it did start the shift in perspective that success wasn't necessarily dependent on getting it right the first time. It wasn't about getting an A++ or a 110% grade that I think I and many Asian Americans are taught to believe. It taught me that failure was okay. You might not get it the first time, you might not get it the second time, you might not get it the millionth time, but eventually, as you learn from your failures, they start you on the path toward your success. And after a million failures, lo and behold, I can now spin kick a raptor in the face. Still working on the fashion thing. That's still kind of a gray area. But growing stronger physically was important. But even more so, it was important to grow mentally, especially as an Asian American actor in today's entertainment industry. And whenever I start feeling insecure about an audition or prepping for a role, that I started thinking about the lessons I learned in martial arts, like Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, there's a phrase in martial arts that I like to say, and that's when you first start to train, you know nothing. When you get pretty good, you know too much. And when you become a master, you know just enough. And when I got pretty good at martial arts, I knew way too much about success. And I'm not saying this in a bragging way. I'm saying it because I got complacent. And I began thinking that everything that I had learned, everything that I prepared for, the belts I earned, the tournaments I won, all those things were enough for me to succeed. And that was until I got kneed in the face in Muay Thai. and I got choked out in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. These martial arts opened up a whole new can of whoop ass on me mentally and physically that made me realize I forgot how to fail again to my detriment. I wasn't challenging myself or engaging in failure. I was just doing what I was successful at to get by. I wasn't thinking outside of the box. I was doing what I think a lot of us are told as Asian Americans we're supposed to do. We're supposed to succeed and not fail and take the easy right path. So I couldn't understand why I was failing so bad at something that I loved, that I dedicated my life toward. Physically, I could take these beatings, but mentally, it was jarring. It was horrible. It made me question if all the time I spent training and perfecting things like the Dragon Claw was just a big waste of time and failure. That's also kind of the beauty of it, because these martial arts forced me to fail, quite literally. Like in jiu-jitsu, when you tap out, you're basically acknowledging that you failed and that you've got to try it again to get it right. And I had to mentally reevaluate what I thought I knew and reconstruct my perspectives, habits for success, and emotions. Importantly, it forced me to make a mental choice, to show up every day for training, even though I knew I was going to fail. I had to humble myself. I had to let go of my ego, my expectations, and what I thought success meant. I started embracing these failures, and slowly but surely, the chaos of getting my ass kicked every day became calmer and calmer, until eventually I was enjoying training again. I was improving, and slowly I started succeeding. Internally, I started loving what I was doing despite the failures and lack of success, which was infinitely, in my opinion, more important and satisfying than some external validation of it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still nothing wrong about succeeding or failing. And there are plenty of days that I still get my ass kicked, but there are also some days that I think I kick a little ass. Now, I think about that whenever life in the entertainment industry or as an Asian American becomes too daunting of a challenge, too much like a failure, and try to enjoy the successes when I can. And oddly enough, once I started doing that, little successes started coming my way. I became a host of Monster Jam, the best damn sports show on four wheels, and it was something that as an Asian American, I never thought they'd want me to do, but I'm doing it. Now, I hope when life gets too chaotic for you and whatever it brings you and challenges, you remember that getting it right the first time isn't always necessary. And that as an Asian American, no matter what your parents say, what society says your success should be, or what you even think it should be, you're never defined by what others expect you to be or your failures. So, I encourage everybody here to please go out there, find what you love, fail at it spectacularly, and try again. Thank you. So we're going to crush some stereotypes today, and I need your energy, guys. I need you to help pump this up, because we're not crushing this by myself, and neither are you. So I need everybody to help me out here, all right, guys? We have on stage Steve Terada. You might recognize him from America's Best Dance Crew. Alan Quidana, famous stuntman, and Johnny X-Wing, another famous stuntman. They're out here helping me out today, and I met them through martial arts, another great reason to train. All right, guys.